Hello, everybody. This is Yoko's TV show reactions, and this is going to be my review for season 1, episode 1 of Game of Thrones. Obviously, I don't remember anybody's names. So someone's going to need to remind me who's who. But it kind of switched between two different things going on, essentially. Though, right at the beginning, Patrol ended up getting killed by some strange creatures called the Worlders or something like that. I don't remember, but the guy who managed to somehow survive, which I don't get how the heck he survived because it looked like he was about to be killed. They found him, and instead of running towards the wall where he should have gone and told them and warned them, that was going on, he deserted, and the Stark family found him, and after telling them what had happened, he was beheaded. Because he was, it was desertion. It was punishable by death. So, we see the Stark family, and yeah, apparently one of the older sons is a bastard. A literal bastard. And when I say bastard, I'm not saying out of disrespect for the guy. I'm saying this is a definition of a bastard. Someone who was born to a couple out of wedlock. So he is a half-sibling to the rest of his siblings. They have the same father, but different mothers. Which I wonder, was this, I'm assuming this was before he got married to his wife? Because she doesn't seem too angry at him for that. But yeah, apparently the men in this world like to sleep around. They like to go to whorehouses and stuff, and nobody bats an eye when the men are actually married. And I love the fact that one of the characters in this show is a dwarf. At first I didn't realize it at first, but as it pulled away and showed him in his entirety, I was like, oh my god, he's a dwarf. It was fun. This is gonna be interesting, that's for sure. I actually gave a warning at the beginning of the episode that this might have a different warning on BitChute that, it's the NSFW thing, But, like I said, there is incest in the show. And we find out that a king has died from a fever, they say. And the king, his queen, and a bunch of other people are coming to visit the Stark family. And before all this, the Stark family ended up finding a deer that was essentially mutilated, and essentially no animal would have just ripped it to shreds like that. And just left it there. And no person definitely would have done that. They would have dragged the animal away to be used for meat. They wouldn't have just disemboweled it and then left it to die, essentially. They end up finding a direwolf, which are direwolves dangerous in this world? Like, as dangerous as a regular wolf, or are they even more dangerous? Because apparently their crest, the Stark family's crest, is based on a direwolf. And they find a mother direwolf dead. I'm assuming it was killed by the same pack of deer that the dead one they found belonged to. Because they pulled antlers out of it. So they found 6 puppies. 6 babies from the direwolf. So each of the kids got one. And the bastard son took in the runt of the litter, which was a white one. Which I thought, oh, that's so cool. And time passes, and the pups obviously have gotten bigger since then. They were about to kill them. I was like, no, don't kill the puppies. And I hate that I think this does actually come up later, where they do kill off a puppy. Don't kill off a puppy. That's cruel. And the king and queen and all that show up. And we see the 2 adult men talking, and they end up deciding that the king ends up deciding to offer, their houses to join by his son marrying his daughter. And obviously he hasn't agreed, but apparently arranged marriages are common in this world, and the women seem fine with it because she seemed okay with it. Though not all the women are obviously okay with an arranged marriage, as we see in this episode. And later on, we find out that I don't know if it was the king or the dead guy, his widow, is Stark's the head of the family's wife's sister, so essentially his sister-in-law. We find out from her that she had to flee because he was actually murdered, not died of a fever. So he was actually, I'm guessing, poisoned. Probably a poison that ended up giving him a fever, which killed him, essentially. As to why, the Lannistars, are the ones who plotted it. So the king is now in danger. So he's going with him to make sure that nothing happens to his friend. On the other end of the spectrum... No, actually, before that, I'll cover both stories, but I think I'll do it in separate things. I won't just go back and forth. Anyway, the youngest son of the Stark family ended up, is an avid climber, as we see in the episode, and his mother told him to not climb anymore because that's dangerous. Well, it ended up coming back and biting him in the butt, but not in the way you would expect. Sort of. Because he did some climbing, and he climbed up to a tower, and he heard some noises. Correct me if I'm wrong on this little tidbit, but when he went into the tower, he saw, I think it was the queen, having sex with her twin brother. He caught them in the act. And obviously, he didn't know that he was going to find that when he climbed up the tower, or else he probably wouldn't have climbed up there. Because her brother pushed him out of the window, and he fell from the tower. So it did come back and bite him in the butt, because if he hadn't done it, he wouldn't have seen that and wouldn't have been pushed off. Spoiler, he survives it, obviously, from what I've heard. And yeah, I'm going to go to the other part of the story in this episode, because it covers two stories in this episode, and two different people, or two different groups of people, I should say. At first, when I was watching this, for some strange reason, I was thinking that the two brother and sister were elves in this next story. I don't know why. But apparently their kingdom was taken over, and they're trying to get an army built so they can go take their kingdom back. And the brother thinks that he's going to be the rightful king when that happens. And he thinks that the best way to get an army is to marry his sister off to the leader of another group of people who don't speak, the common tongue. Oh boy. Now this is where I say that not all the women are okay with arranged marriages, because the sister is not. She doesn't want to be the guy's queen, she just wants to go home. And the guy and her brother is starting to be not one of my favorite characters already, due to the fact that he even told her to her face, he didn't say this in private, he told this to her face, that if he essentially let that guy and all his men, 40,000 of his men, essentially rape her, he would do it if he got the army he needed to become king. Yeah, that guy is high on my shit list. And he deserves what he gets later on. I don't know what episode it is, but I do know what happens. And he does get what's coming to him. But yeah. She is forced into an arranged marriage, and later on, they end up getting, wedding gifts and everything, and then I guess the ceremony has already happened at this point. And they ride off, and he forcibly consummates the marriage, even though obviously she doesn't want to. You can tell from the way she's acting. The only word he understands is no. Or that's the only word he knows, but I don't know if he understands the meaning of it. But she keeps saying, acting like she doesn't want it, which essentially constitutes no. But he doesn't understand no. So, yeah, that's essentially the gist of what happens in this episode. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything important, if I messed up any characters or anything like that. And I will see everybody next time.